So we gave Steve a call once we made it into the Kootenays, and we kept pushing on the last little bit up Kootenay Lake towards Toad Rock.
Hello, it's Steve Warnhella from Nelson, BC, also known as Steve from the 2009 big trip. Anyways, I missed out on last year's trip. Chris and Jeff came through town and they stayed in my pop-up trailer, and I couldn't ride with them last year because number one, I didn't have a bike. Number two, we had a pretty young baby and I couldn't really get away. So I was pretty excited this last year when they called me.
Another thing we were really looking forward to at the end of the day was Toad Rock. Again, as I've mentioned, this place is kind of a local legend for anybody who bikes in the area. It's a campground that's set up specifically for people on motorcycles.
You can pull in there, and even if you're not adventurous types, even if you just pull in with a motorcycle, Mary, the lady that runs that campground, very nice lady, she has these sort of things you can stay in. They're like old vehicles, one's a VW bus, one's an old school bus, and they're all converted into places that motorcyclists can stay. So if you roll in on your Harley and you don't have any room to put anything like a sleeping bag or a tent or anything like that, Mary's still more than happy to take care of you.
So we rolled in, and I bet you we didn't even have our engines turned off, and Mary, the owner, manager, was there on the spot ready to give us big hugs.
You must be Mary.
So we rolled into Toad Rock, and no sooner did we get through the gate, and Mary was there to give us a big hug as we were getting off our motorcycles. So it was the kind of place where we knew we were welcome, which is a nice change after our dealings with Walter the previous evening.
So as we roll in and we get our hug from Mary, she all of a sudden asks us, you guys here for the KGB? The what? The KGB, the Kootenay Gutbuster, she says. Now immediately I think of a chili eating contest or something like that, but Mary goes on to explain that it's actually a comedy show.
It turned out that, and just by pure luck, that the night that we were at Toad Rock, it was the weekend of the KGB, or the Kootenay Gutbuster, and that's a charity event, a comedy charity event, and essentially there's going to be a bunch of stand-up comedians down at the common area, the campground.
Tickets are $40, but that includes your camping, and she looked kind of sheepish to say that it was that much because I think normally camping is very, very inexpensive there. But we had already learned our lesson, so we just looked at each other and knew the answer had to be yes.
We quickly found ourselves a spot and got on the horn to Steve to make sure that he was coming out to meet us. And so with that all done, we sat down to having a good time.
This place, Toad Rock, has to be seen to believe. I'm not going to sit here and talk about it too long. It was just really cool. If you're in the area and you enjoy camping, you got to hit Toad Rock. It wasn't too long after we were done setting up that we could hear Handy's old Green Hornet thumping through the campground.
That's the Green Hornet from last year.
Steve finally rolls in, so it was a neat opportunity for me to see my old KLR.
Hey, Steve-O.
What's up?
Well, we're on Big Trip 2009, and it's the return of the Green Hornet.
You bet.
Yeah, you bet. There it is, looking good.
This is gonna tip over right here.
So we basically hung out around the tent and started into our rum, and waited for the KGB to start.
Isn't that not the best Volvo you've ever seen?
Oh, that reminds me of the one I used to have.
Yeah? Did yours look like that?
Nope. Mine had a roof and a trunk.
A roof. Roofs are for pussies. That's why I ride a bike.
So with the Kootenay Gutbuster looming on the evening, there was motorcyclists rolling in from all over the place. Jeff happened to start seeing people that he knew that were riding in on adventure motorcycles.
So we're sitting in camp, carrying on, having a good time, and through the trees I can see a v-strom going by. Now there's something different about this V-strom, but I couldn't quite see it through the trees, but as it comes into the clearing I can see that it's got the shark paint job on it. I know that guy, I scream, and I start hauling ass through the campsites.
What the buddy? How you doing? Good, you? Not bad. Good to see you, dude.
So spilling half my drink and out of breath, I finally catch up to the bike and flag him down, and sure enough, it's my good buddy Stoney from Edmonton.
Stoney, how you doing, buddy?
Excellent.
So here we are at Toad Rock. What brings you out here, buddy?
We went up through the inside passage, Prince Rupert, back down, spanked all the twisties, a little bit off-road, went up to the lookout today.
So again, a really wild coincidence that we ran into this guy, a buddy of mine from Edmonton in the middle of the Kootenays. He was out on a bike trip with a couple of his buddies as well. They were just on their way to the hot springs, but he promised he'd be back for a few rums in a little while. We get down to our regular business of drinking rum, transferring files, and just horsing around.
So with the KGB that evening at Toad Rock, we actually had access to some interesting people.
So we were horsing around, carrying on, and of course the campsite next to us fills up, and it's a young lady on a mountain bike who's making her way from like the very southern end of BC all the way up to Jasper and back, just on her mountain bike.
So that's the bike there of our neighbor Lorraine, and she is hardcore here. She is biking. You can't see her tent there through the trees. Let me unplug it and we'll get a better shot here. But this is her cap, and she is going hardcore from Trail BC to Jasper and back on this bad boy right here.
Well, I started in trail. I'm on day 3. I've been going pretty slow so far. I've stopped at friends' houses and had little parties, and I'm just kind of, my first week I'm working up, getting a little stronger. I'm gone for a month. I told work I'm gone for a month.
We actually ended up hanging out with her for most of the night. She was pretty cool.
So while Jeff was interviewing our bicyclist friend, I made off with my camera and to see what I could do. I ended up running into a couple of the comedians, and I talked to them.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, this is Mike. I ran into Mike here right outside the pavilion here at Toad Rock.
Yeah.
And Mike doesn't ride motorcycles.
I ride bicycles.
Right on. So that's awesome, Mike.
Yeah.
We have an affinity at Big Trip 2009 for bicyclists as well.
Which is great.
Yeah. And so Mike, what are you doing here tonight?
This is actually my second year. I came down here last year to do this, and it was amazing. And like, I like camping, and I like just telling jokes in the middle of nowhere, and it's great.
Okay.
There's a lot of trees and a bar.
This guy was hilarious, as were the rest of the comics. It was a really great time. In fact, one of those things that we had no idea was happening, we just kind of fell back asswards into, but boy, am I glad we did. This was really well put on. There was hot food available. They were licensed for the show, so we could buy drinks, and it was great.
Honestly, some of the funniest comedians I've ever seen in person, let alone in the middle of nowhere at a campsite.
So with the KGB underway and a bottle of rum in us already, everything gets pretty hazy from there. I'm sure there was some real highlights after that, but Jeff's going to have to fill you in from there, because that's where it starts to get a little bit foggy for me.
I have to admit, at this point, everything gets kind of a little fuzzy, so Hammy will have to fill in the blanks.
All right, so that's about all the memory that sticks from day 9. We had a great time on the way to Nelson, and of course our time at Toad Rock and the Kootenay Gutbuster. It was all great fun. And yeah, if Mary ever sees this, way to go, Mary! You have a great place there at Toad Rock.
We stumbled our way back to camp, and didn't last too long there before we had to crash out.